Darkest. Jumping Joe's Josephat Joseph Walsh from NitratesTock.net, NitratesTock.net, for Christ's sake. I'm back up at the fabulous Lincoln Center. Gave you the full 180 for the New York Film Festival. The 54th New York Film Festival is still going on. I'm back up here tonight for part of the continuing retrospective series, which is focusing tonight on the works of Henry Hathaway. Still, we're not done yet. There's plenty more coming up in that series. Tonight I am witnessing what is my favorite of his films, what I argue is the best of his films, and he made a lot of them. 1947's Kiss of Death, which starred Brian Donlevy, Victor Mature, my girl Colleen Gray, and introduced to the world the one and only Richard Widmark in what is probably still his trademark role, I would imagine. And he made a million movies, and he gave some indelible performances, some riveting performances in a lot of movies, but he's forever Tommy Udo. He's forever going to be the guy who, well, if you haven't seen the movie, I won't give anything away. But as far as actors who made their screen debuts as a villain, and in that capacity gave the world one of the most indelible screen villains of all time, some people might argue that Alan Rickman holds the brass ring for Hans and Die Hard, but I don't know. I think Tommy Udo is still the gold standard. Anyway, I got a little bit of flack from some people for maybe downplaying what I thought was Henry Hathaway's role in the history of cinema, for saying that he was a hack for hire or not quite an auteur. I think I kind of sort of tried to explain my stance on that. I believe a little bit in the auteur theory. I believe a little bit in the people who believe that it's garbage. Sidney Lumet, my boy Sid, famously said the auteur theory is bullshit. I think there's an argument to be made on both sides, and I agree with a little bit of each. My point I think I was trying to make about Hathaway is that even his best film isn't quite up to the standards of, say, I argue the case for some people who aren't considered auteurs, you know, by the standards of the Cahiers Cinema crowd. And I know I pronounced that incorrectly, but I just love mangling French, especially when I'm on the Upper West Side. But the great, you know, George Stevens, I mean, I don't think any one of Hathaway's movies can match, say, Giant or Gunga Din, for Christ's sake. Or you know, my boy Michael Curtiz. I mean, you know, a lot of people say that he had not a lot to do with the success of the films that he made. He was just handed assignments. But I mean, look at the guy's track record: The Roaring Twenties, Casablanca, Robin Hood. List goes on and on. So I think I wasn't trying to downplay Hathaway. I think I was just trying to say that in the category of directors that I find fascinating for one reason or another, whether they were a Hawks or a Ford or a Hitchcock who kind of dictated their career and their themes, or whether they were somebody who, you know, was handed an assignment and put a little bit of their stamp on it, or no stamp at all. I mean, some people just made good films over the course of their career. So I hope I wasn't downplaying Hathaway. I just sort of feel like he's, you know, just somebody, I don't find him not fascinating. But, and this was a great series. I really wish I would have taken better advantage of this, even though it wasn't the complete Hathaway, which Ken Jones, who programs the festival, said he'd like to get underway someday. This is the closest they could get to it, and it would have been it was a Herculean task apparently getting this together. So getting it complete would be nearly impossible, as the guy worked from the early talkie era all the way up until the 70s. So I really wish I would have taken further advantage of this. I have another film, I believe, if not two, coming up in the series. Friday's The Spawn of the North. But tonight I'm going to see, and I've seen this movie a million times, but tonight I'm going to see Kiss of Death, the original Kiss of Death on the big screen. This is going to be a treat. So anyway, there are still tickets left available to a lot of screenings. The film festival ends this weekend. If you haven't checked out the first run stuff that's coming out, there's some really magical movies that are premiering here, and then they'll be coming out later on to compete for the Oscars. There's a lot of great revival and retrospective stuff still coming up. Stuff that will be premiering at the repertory cinemas for some time. Come up here, and you know, I get lonely sometimes. Just come up here and join me. We'll get some coffee. I'll spring. You know, I'll even pay for some extra milk if you want. But anyway, I'm going to check this movie out, and check the calendar listings at NitratesTock.net, or go directly to filmlink.org, and you can find out what's still coming up in the series and the other wonderful things they have going on at Lincoln Center. This is really a fantastic facility that we New Yorkers, we get spoiled sometimes and forget about it, but it's always here for us. And it's a great spot. So anyway, I'll be back as normal to check up with you after the movie, and I'll give you my my new insights to the film once I've seen it for the millionth time. And anyway, for now, again, as always, this is Joseph Walsh from RedTwix.net signing off. Stick with me.